Okay, good evening, councillors. As the Community and Culture Committee Chairperson, Councillor Liu is an apology for tonight's meeting. A vote must be taken of the councillors present, appointed to the Community and Culture Committee to elect a chairperson for this meeting.
I nominate Councillor Kunjarski as chairperson of the meeting.
Okay, so we've got moved by Councillor Stratokopoulos, seconded by Councillor Mort. Can I call for a vote? All those in favour? Aye. All those against? Okay, can I welcome Councillor Kunjarski to be the chair for this evening?
Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Community and Culture meeting. I declare the meeting open at 6:02 p.m. I'd like to acknowledge the critical people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of all lands, waters and sky in the Georges River area. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who live and work and meet on these lands. I have an apology from Councillor Liu and Councillor Smurdy. I've suggested there's going to be a 5 to 10 minutes late. Can I have a motion to accept apologies and grant leave of absence? Moved by Councillor Ambi-Hapaha.
Seconded.
And seconded by Councillor Stratokopoulos. All in favour, say aye. Aye. I declare that carried. No requests today to attend by audio visual link. Staff and public are reminded this meeting is being recorded for minute-taking purposes and is also being broadcast live to the public on Council's website in accordance with Section 5 of Council's Code of Meeting Practice. The recording will be made available on Council's website. The order of business is as shown in the agenda, which has been made available. Staff and public are reminded this meeting is open. Doors to the meeting room are to be left open unless the meeting moves into a closed confidential session, according to Section 14 of the Code of Meeting Practice. Only if the meeting moves into a closed confidential session will the public broadcasting of the meeting be suspended. Council's Code of Meeting Practice prohibits the electronic lodgement, that's what I do all day. I apologise, I'll start again. Council's Code of Meeting Practice prohibits the electronic recording of meetings without the express permission of Council. Mobile phones must be turned to silent during the meeting. Any disclosures of interest from any councillors? Nope. No speakers tonight. Confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. A call for a mover, moved by Councillor Stratokopoulos, seconded by Councillor Ambi-Hapaha. All in favour, say aye. Against, I declare that carried. We've got committee report COM 009-24. Call for a mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Lansbury, seconded by Councillor Ambi-Hapaha. Andrew, can the Coordinator of Programming and Operations, Andrew Williams, please provide an overview of this report?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Good evening, councillors. So this recommendation is that council receive and note the quarterly community property report for the period of 1st of January to 2024 to 31st of March 2024. During this period, there was one lease renewal executed by council by way of delegated authority to the General Manager, as the term and or facilities were outside the General Manager's delegations. And there was one license renewal of the same effect as well. So council's community property portfolio manages 64 community properties under a community lease or license. 37 are community facilities within the portfolio, which are divided into 40 separate tenancies. There's also 26 community sporting amenities buildings in the portfolio, which are divided into 31 separate licensable areas. One of those licensable areas is a shared facility, shared seasonally between two different tenants. So during the period, we have an executed lease option by Kingsway Community Care for an undisclosed location. This was a renewal of exercise of the option lease. The term is for 1 year from 23rd of December 2023 to 22nd of December 2024. And the second one was the option license agreement as well with Jubilee Community Services for Jubilee Park Community Centre 2B to 2C Boundary Road, Mortdale. This was again a renewal by exercise of option licence. The term is for 7 years between the 1st of July 2022 to 30th of June 2029, with a further 7 years option period from 1st of July 2029 to 30th of June 2036. Are there any questions?
I just did have a question. Within the body of the attachment, quite a few of them I've noticed this time, the annual subsidies and some of them with the actual annual rent is TBC. So we're clearly at a point in time where things are about to be renegotiated. So is there a timeline on that?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Councillor, with the future adoption of the upcoming community lease and licence policy, we'll take steps to get those that one of the actions is to get all those that are currently not on licence or lease agreements on an agreement itself, and that's also part of the community lease audit that was conducted back in 2023 as well. Yeah, correct. Yep.
If there are no other questions, I'll put the recommendations as per the report. All in favour? Against? Declare that carried. We come to item COM 010-24, outgoing sponsorship request, Georges River Local Business Awards. Call for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Wang, seconded. Seconded.
Sorry. It was quick today.
Thank you. Can the Manager City Life, Margaret Lee, please provide an overview on the report? Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So thank you for tonight's opportunity to talk to this report. So the recommendation is that Council approves the outgoing sponsorship request of $10,000 to Precedent Production as for Georges River Council to be a major sponsor of the upcoming Georges River Local Business Awards. So a bit of a background to this recommendation. Last month, Council received in writing a sponsorship request from Precedent Productions for the value of $10,000 to be a major sponsor. And this request has been assessed against Council's adopted sponsorship policy. Councillors may recall that Georges River Council previous years, including last year, was a major sponsor of this back then called the St. George Local Business Awards. And we have been a sponsor for the past 12 years. And the program does generate strong interest from our local businesses and they do participate. Last year, Council did participate as a major sponsor, contributing $10,000 to the 2023 local St. George Local Business Awards, and that was held in July at the Southern Sydney Event Centre in Hurstville. And in terms of participation in the awards last year, I've just got in the report, but I'll just run through it here. We had over 14,000 small business nominated with over 300 finalists and 32 winners selected, and it was attended by 540 small business representatives within the Georges River Council area, and the mayor and councillors represented council on that night as well. So in previous years, it was called the St George Local Business Awards, as the region spanned the Bayside Council and the Georges River Council local government areas. In June last year, Precedent Productions advised council that the program, the St George Business Awards, would undergo a split, so as a tailoring of the program moving forward, so that each local government area has their own local business awards, and councillors were notified via the councillor information bulletin in July last year. So out of interest, we thought you might like to know that Bayside did launch the Bayside Local Business Awards program through Precedent Productions, and their event occurred in October last year. So the 2024 Georges River Local Business Awards will be the first time it will be conducted under this new banner and specifying only the Georges River Council businesses in the area, and that presentation night will be held on Wednesday the 3rd of July at the Southern Sydney Event Centre located at Hurstville. So council officers have assessed the benefits of council being a major sponsor, and those include council being able to access the contact list of the finalists and the winners, that as a major sponsor, council is recognised through digital and print media. Also, there will be an offer of 10 tickets for council representatives to attend the night, as well as an opportunity for council representative to present as a keynote speech and do the presentation as well. And finally, by council supporting this recommendation to participate as a major sponsor demonstrates council's recognition of the value of small businesses in our community. So I've got Kathy Payne, who's our sponsorship specialist, here with me tonight as well, should councillors have any questions.
Councillors, any questions? Yes. Councillor Asbury.
Thank you. I did just want to ask a question. The fact that it's going to be split and it's going to be strictly Georges River and Bayside, anecdotally, I heard that when the Bayside Awards happened, that there are a few that were actually from outside of their Bayside LGA. So I think it's just something that we need to be really mindful of when it comes to our awards, because I think, and you can clarify this for me, the application, or nominations I should say, would be coordinated by council, yeah?
Speaker, the applications are coordinated through Precedent Productions, and so certainly having that feedback, I can specifically ask them to make sure that all of those businesses that are registering are falling within our local government area. So I can take that on board, absolutely.
Thank you. I think it would be useful. I don't like to tell tales out of school, but apparently there were some little bit of consternation amongst some of the people, but yeah, good to know. Thank you.
Councillor Wayne.
Yes. So I went to attended that award last year. It's extremely successful and positive, both to promote the local business and the council as a brand. So the only feedback I have is maybe a question. So after that successful event, some of the business I have contact with, they say they didn't know this award. They are sort of missing out. So is there anything we could do better to promote this award nomination in the community?
Sorry,
Just to clarify, Councillor Wang, is that last year in October when Bayside had their awards night, or last year when it was the St George Business Awards?
St George.
Okay.
through you, Mr. Speaker. Certainly I can take on board that feedback, and we will work very closely with our communications team to ensure that we use all of our avenues and promotional abilities to get the word out to our local government area. But I will also again take that up with Precedent Productions just to understand that feedback and get the word out.
Probably it's if possible to promote in the CALD community, different language and, multicultural community, business community, because there are quite a lot of business there.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, that's fine, Councillor Wang. We can arrange that in different languages, and we can include it in the Business Unite newsletter as well, that City Futures also has now commenced this year, so that all local businesses will be aware. Thank you.
Councillors, any other questions or comments? If not, I'll put that. All in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Item COM 011-24, Georges River Council Public Art Policy. I'll call for a mover. Councillor Smirty, seconded by Councillor Natalie Mort. Thank you. Can the Manager of Cultural Engagement and Library Services, Justin, please provide an overview on this report?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Councillors, this report concerns the revised public art policy that we've had in place for a number of years, and it's recommending that revised policy goes on public exhibition for 28 days for community feedback, and that we report back to council on any of the feedback that we get, including any changes that we need to make from that point. What we're presenting tonight are some changes to that policy, based on making the policy easier to read and understand and implement, the quality of life changes that keeps that document in line with recent other policies that have come along at the council level and at the state level. And it also includes a detailed consultation piece to make sure that our public art matches community expectations, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. The changes are reflected in the report, and they're meaningful changes, but they're minimal. It doesn't change the great work that's been done with the policy already. And I've included a summary of the public art done under the policy as attachment 1, and attachment 2 is the revised draft policy itself. And because there's only a few changes, I'm happy to itemise those changes that are summarised there in paragraph 10 of the report. We've got some additional definitions to help people understand the terminology in this space, which is in that art world space, including Indigenous cultural intellectual property, which is a best practice piece of work that we will want to achieve. Section 1.4 includes an update regarding recent policy developments in other areas in this creative space. Section 2.3 has been updated to include the term respect. That came out of our consultation that we did with the reference groups and the Public Art Advisory Committee. Section 2.8 was added. That's to make sure that this policy maintains its consistency with the Disability Inclusion Plan the Council has, as well as the Social Justice Charter. Section 3.7 was also added. That explains how we remove, relocate, or what we call deaccessioning public art, recognising there's an end of life for some of these things, and sometimes they're no longer appropriate. So it really tried to define that. Section 4.14 was amended to clarify council's responsibility about public art. Public art can be a council-led project, or it could be a developer-led project. So it just clarifies that council's not responsible for all public art, because some of it's not public art that we've done. So yeah, it's not within our budget. Section 4.15 was also added to make sure that this policy complies with that best practice that I mentioned, Indigenous cultural intellectual property, which is a process of consultation with landowners or artwork owners to make sure it's treated in the right way. And sometimes that advice changes over time. The only other things I'd say is that the report's within financial implications. There's no new information there. It's consistent with the previous policy. It's within our budget, and the way that public art funds are raised remains the same as the previous policy. Are there any questions from councillors?
I have a question. It's not really related to the policy, which I'm really happy with. I think it's good. I'm more curious about the process of how you procure the public art, because looking at the attachment to this report, there seems to be like 99% murals and paintings and things like that, and very little in the way of, I think there was a line installation and a sculpture. How do they come to be? Do you, through advertising, call for submissions and that sort of thing, or how does that work?
Through you, Mr. Chair. An example of calling for submissions would be the sculptural piece that's at the new skate park, the big dragon. That public art called Knuckle was done through a EOI process where we have our scope of works, which included using those skateboard ramps that were there and decommissioned and turning that into a public art piece. So that's an example of ones that we do. Sometimes the mural is the only option for that site. It might be a building that needs visual improvement, so that the mural is often the easiest way to do that. But to your question, it can be sculptural, it can be performative. The policy allows us to be quite flexible in what's done. Sometimes the most cost-effective option for that visual piece are those large-scale murals that we do.
The reason I ask is I just would like to see some more sculptures, if possible, and I just wondered how they came to be. But I mean, thinking particularly of the one at the skate park, I think it's great, particularly the origin of it, etc. So I'm just curious as to how do we acquire more things like that?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Always look at what's appropriate for that site. So sometimes it's site appropriate, and perhaps would it be helpful? I could provide a list of some of the sculptural works that we've done as well. There are things that are sculptural too. Sometimes when we've done the bat colony was a mural on a device, but the device is a utilitarian device for the bats. But that's sculptural in itself as a functional kind of sculpture. But I take your point. We do allow for that different interpretations of public art, and it's hopefully this quality of life improvement, which includes consultation with the community. We want the public art to always suit the community as well. So sometimes that outcome might be a community-driven demand for a sculpture or something that embodies something that's meaningful for that community. That's more than just a mural. It could be in a reserve.
Councillor Strathopoulos, your light's on. Do you have a question? Sorry. Many other questions, councillors? If not, I shall put the recommendations. All in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item is COM 012-24, adoption of the Georges River Community Infrastructure Needs Assessment and Acquisition Area Strategy. Mover, please.
I'd like to move that.
I'm sorry. Unfortunately, these lights aren't synced. I'm not sure who was first. Switch yours off, please. Yes, you're right. Councillor Smirtley, seconder. Councillor Morse.
Okay.
Could I have the Manager of City Life, Margaret Lee, please provide an overview of this report?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So this report tonight, councillors, reports back the community feedback received as part of the public exhibition period for the Georges River Community Infrastructure Needs Assessment and Area Acquisition Area Strategy, following a public exhibition period of 61 days. I'd like to talk to a summary of that feedback and then open up for any questions. So at the 18th of December 2023, Council endorsed for this strategy for the purpose of a public exhibition, and during that period from the 22nd of December 2023 to the 20th of February 2024, Council received 434 submissions, along with one direct email from a Member of Parliament and 2 councillor submissions. In terms of the submission received within the report, in the table 2, it has been summarised by way of facility types. noting that across all the facilities, being athletics, aquatics, community centres, libraries, open space, and sports and recreation and courts, there was at least one piece of feedback received from the community against each of those facility types, and there was an overwhelming number of submissions against the facility type being open space. 433 pieces of feedback was received in relation to open space, and the breakdown of that is that 430 submissions were opposed to one of the strategy's recommendations is for council to explore the partial reclamation of golf courses as one of the avenues to contribute to the shortfall of active open space within the local government area. There was also one submission that was in favour of the partial reclamation of golf courses with some conditions, and the other two pieces of submission was related to a court wall within a park, and one was about bike lanes within the LGA. Following a review of all the pieces of feedback received, the report strategy is put to council for adoption, noting as per the recommendation that one, council adopts the Georges River Community Infrastructure Needs Assessment Acquisition Area Strategy, and B, noting that all actions recommended within this strategic and technical report would be subject to further detailed investigation by council officers, as well as the allocation of future budget and subsequent council approval.
Could I make an amendment to, through you, Mr. Chair, could I make an amendment? Could we add part C? Council notes that 430 submissions were opposed to the strategy's recommendations for council to explore partial reclamation of golf courses as one of the avenues to contribute to the shortfall for active open space within the LGA. And D, council acknowledges that it has no short or long-term plans to explore partial reclamation of golf courses to increase open space. I think.
Thank you, Councillor Mort. Councillor Smedley, okay with that as the mover? Thank you. Would anyone like to speak on those amendments or on the recommendations?
Oh, thanks, Mr. Chair. Just to add that I actually was proposing to move something very similar based on the volume of submissions that were received that were concerned about it, and I wasn't surprised to see that. I think at the time when we had a briefing on it, my major concerns were that people would feel like this was going to be imposed upon them because it was in the context of Moore Park golf course being discussed around the time I think this was found on exhibition. Like, not everything in this report I agree with, but I think as an overarching document we need to have something to work from, and you know, we recognise that we do have a shortfall in open space, etc. So I think, you know, it's a start. It's something to work with, and thanks to Councillor Mort for putting forward this amendment, which I totally agree with.
Could I just ask a couple more questions regarding the athletic facilities? I noticed in the report that there are 2 athletic facilities, and through the chair, I would just like to ask how many times a year are the athletic facilities at Hurstville Oval used by the public, as in schools or whatever? Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So in the last 2 years, there has been 12 carnivals last year and 9 carnivals this year at Hurstville Oval. At Olds Park Athletics, there was 6 carnivals last year and 2 carnivals this year.
And are they all those schools within the Georges River area?
I'd have to take that on notice, but I can bring it back to the council meeting as an answer.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillors, any other questions or comments? If not, I'll put that. All in favour? Against? Declare that carried. As there are no other items on the agenda, I would declare this meeting closed at 6:30. Thanks for your attendance.